The number one thing cancer taught me. Calling all ambitious women who are ready to rock the rest of 2019 and 2020. Okay, ladies, this is the official call. We are officially in the enrollment period for Soul Elite. You might be wondering, what the heck is Soul Elite and how is it different from the other experiences you offer, Heather? Well, great question. So Soul Elite is a 12-month mastermind experience for the ambitious, successful go-getter. You are craving community, you are craving connection, you are craving sustainability and impact. You want to get to a place in your life where there's just something deep inside of your soul that wants to be expressed. And you also want to surround yourself with like-minded women who are on the same level. So these are the CEOs, these are the executive women, these are the entrepreneurs, these are the ones who have already seen traditional success in their life, but they're just looking for that deeper connection. It involves retreats, it involves one-on-one coaching with me. We also have a team of game-changing other professionals and coaches who will be connecting with us in the next 12 months. Plus, you're walking through this experience with other like-minded women who are ready to pull back the curtains, show you how they got successful, share their amazing resources with you, and get vulnerable. So, this is an elite group of ladies, hence the reason why it's called Soul Elite. And I am so excited. We already have about 6 people inside. It's also an intimate group. And I'm just really excited to learn and connect with more of you. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/Soul Elite. All you have to do is fill out the application, and then I will personally read it and be in touch. If I don't think you're a good fit, that's okay. I will point you in the right direction, whether it's another program that I offer or if there's somebody else that I know that can be a good fit for you. So 2019-2020 Soul Elite Experience is now open for enrollment. And when you apply before September 15th, you get added bonuses and discounts. So again, head on over to heatherchauvin.com/Soul Elite and fill out your application today. Okay, I'm back, and I feel like the morning after Labor Day feels like New Year's Day. Kids went back to school today, and it feels like a new year. September is the new year. I don't know if that's what it feels like for you. I don't know where you are or if your children went back to school or what that looks like, but I am just cheering you on that you have a kick-ass September. Lots of things coming up in the Mom is in Control world. And yeah, so the next 5 days I've decided to do a mini series on the podcast called Freedom Unlocked. Get the tools you need to take back control of your time and energy. So as you know, I talk a lot about time freedom. And a lot of people will teach time freedom in the sense of how to batch your time, how to be more productive in your time. And I'm all about how is your relationship to time? So it doesn't matter if you're working 20 hours a week, if you're working 40 hours a week or 80 hours a week. It's not about working less. It is, even though, yes, you can definitely work less. I do not work 40 hours a week. But what I think my definition of time freedom is really how you feel in relation to your time. And it's really easy to compare yourself to other people, right? When I started my business and when I was working, I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time away from my children, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And it's all relative, because really we have to be mindful of who are we in the moments that we are with our children. How do we feel when we are working? And if you're not working, how do you spend your day? How do you spend your weeks? Are you focused? Are you intentional? So today I'm going to be talking about the number one thing cancer taught me. And I feel like I've talked about this previously on the podcast, but you know what they say it again, say it again, say it again. So there was kind of 3 points when I was journaling about this topic. And, I always tell people that cancer gave me permission to live. And I think, it really kickstarted me or kicked my ass or pushed me in the deep end when it came to acting on my desires. And what I mean by that is too often I look at people and they'll say, oh, I just can't. And sometimes these are people that are successful or people that I look up to. And I'm like, why can't you do that? Oh, I can't because. And then they have their excuse. In all honesty, I feel like every time you say I can't because, that is an excuse. Even if you logically believe that you cannot do something, you are closing yourself off to possibility. You are closing yourself off to freedom. Because if you have a desire, so let me give you an example. If you have a desire to run a marathon and you say, oh, I could never do that. I'm not a runner. But if someone said, would you like to run a marathon with me? And you had absolutely no desire to run a marathon, your response is going to be, no, thank you. I'm not interested. So you can see where you have blocks in your life based on your reaction and how you respond to things. So even if you think you don't want something, you can just tell you do by the way that you show up. I hope that makes sense for you. So I'm trying to think in my own life. Okay, I'll give you an example. This year, we're more closer to traveling we want to travel, take the kids out of school in the winter time. And my husband and I have been wanting to do this forever. So for so many years we would say, oh, we can't. Or, oh my gosh, the kids, like what's going to happen? And really these were just blocks. But now that we're closer, I can say, yes, that's a desire of mine. But previously I would say, oh no, not really. But the truth is, when it is a desire of yours, you're going to think about it. You're going to see that in other people and go, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. So I want you to pay attention to those because those are the things that you need to act on. Those are the things that you need to talk about. Those are the things that you need to give yourself permission to do. So the number one thing that cancer taught me was being paralyzed in fear. And when you think, and if you've ever been in a situation where, you're in extreme fight or flight, could be with your children, could be a family member, whatever that is, your health, you know what it feels like to be paralyzed in fear, right? So fight or flight, something happens, and one of the biggest fears of all is the fear of death. So there I am, fear of death comes knocking on the door and says, hey, your time is limited here. You are no longer, you no longer have the rest of your life. You could be dead in a week, a month, a year, who knows? And I was paralyzed, absolutely paralyzed in fear. And so when you're paralyzed and you believe, I'm going to die, especially when people tell you that, right? Like when you hear the doctors and healthcare practitioners, people who you look up to, people who you have given a lot of power to, and they start telling you things like that, your thoughts go crazy. Your thoughts are, I'm going to die. And then your actions start to act like that. Okay, so your actions start to go, well, what's the point of living if I'm going to die? And then your reality is you're sitting there paralyzed in fear, anxious, overwhelmed, believing that you're going to die. So if you've heard me tell the story again, I apologize, but here it goes. I was sitting on the bathroom floor one night, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I was going through chemo. And I was sitting there and I told myself, I was crying profusely because I believed I was going to die. I don't know what happened to me, but I was just terrified that day, probably because I was really, really sick and I couldn't take it anymore. So as I'm sitting there on the bathroom floor, lying in fetal position, crying, holding back the tears because I didn't want to wake up my kids. I didn't want to wake up my husband. I remember going, I'm going to die. And I had this little voice saying to me, but you're not dead yet. You're not dead yet. So why are you acting like you're dying? And then, guys, this was my next thought. I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live. So I actually wasn't afraid of dying in that moment. I did not know how to live. Let me repeat that. I was not afraid of dying. I did not know how to live. So when I say the number one thing that cancer taught me was learning how to live. Because as I'm sitting there dying and my body is saying, help me, help me, help me, help me. I need your attention, Heather. If you keep neglecting me, I am going to leave. I'm going to just die. And fear, false evidence appearing real, kept saying, you're dying, you're dying, you're dying. So I started acting like I was dying. So here's what I started doing. I started being proactive with my life instead of reactive. So when you say to me, I don't have time and I don't have energy, and I call bullshit, and you don't understand why I call bullshit, it's because you're living a proactive life and not a reactive life. Sorry, I lied. You're living a reactive life and not a proactive life. When you get clear on what you want your day to look like, when you get clear on what you want to feel like every single day, and you start taking action in the direction of how you want to feel, that is called being proactive. Yes, there will be moments. Yes, you will be frustrated. Yes, shit will hit the fan. But if you have this guiding light, the number one thing that cancer taught me, which was learning how to live, if you choose to feel alive every single fucking day, if you choose to just fill your joy cup, if you choose to feel calmer, more vibrant every single fucking day, you're putting in like a penny, a dollar into that little bank account to fill yourself up every single fucking day. You are being proactive and you will feel alive. Now, the tricky part is it doesn't happen overnight, and the tricky part is all your shit is going to come up. All the shit that allowed you to be reactive in your life is going to come up and hold you back, and you got to work through it. So I had to get super, super clear that fear was false evidence appearing real. I had to stop giving my fear so much power and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but today you are not running the show. I had to learn how to be proactive in my life instead of reactive towards my big emotions. And I had to get clear very quickly on how I wanted to feel in my life. All right. So the number one thing that cancer taught me was learning how to live. Now, I don't want you to get cancer in order for you to learn how to live, how to feel alive, how to feel in alignment, how to feel like a kick-ass human being making an impact where you can wake up going, I'm good enough. I'm making an impact. I'm not hustling. I'm not burning out. But look, I'm successful on my own terms and it feels fucking good. So this is exactly why I created the Soul Elite Mastermind. We are starting actually now in September, and we have 2 pods. We have 2 people, not 2 pods. We have kind of 2 start dates, September and January, and we are now accepting applications. The benefit of joining now is you get additional bonus time, and you also get some discounts. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/Soul Elite and check out the details, fill out the application, and we will chat soon.